The Robertson County Funeral Home has been serving families for a quarter century. When it's time to celebrate and remember, to honor in loving memory, the Robertson County Funeral Home. This is Jim Ball reporting for Smoky Barn News in Millersville. You may remember that about 6 months ago, it was June, we brought you the news of a new pet store that had opened up in Millersville on 31W. The name of the store was Gone Wild Exotics. It was a big, beautiful place, and I think everyone was very optimistic that the store would do well. On Thursday, Gone Wild Exotics found itself in the news again, this time under allegations of animal cruelty and neglect. We drove out to Gone Wild Exotics to see for ourselves what was going on, and when we arrived, we found that several network reporters were there, along with the Millersville Police Department and Fire Department. And Millersville Police told Smoky Barn News that they were told that the business had been abandoned more than 3 weeks ago, and the business was still full of merchandise and animals that were suffering, dying, or dead. The police chief from Millersville stepped aside to talk to Smokey for a couple of minutes. Here's that interview.
What exactly happened was we had a telephone call about 9 o'clock this morning, approximately that area, of a store that had exotic animals that had been abandoned for at least 3 weeks. We were fearful that we were going to come in and find exotic animals like dogs, monkeys, snakes, lizards, all deceased. But fortunately and happily, that did not happen. What we did find was a pixie African frog weighing about 5 to 7 pounds, and 64, 65 rats, different types of mice and rats that had been feeding on one another. My officers and I and the codes department and fire department from Millersville, we fed and watered the animals at that time, and did our best to care for the frog, because I'm not very knowledgeable on African frogs, but we did try to care for them the best we could, give them food and water, and we were able and successfully able to find another proprietor to want to accept the animals into their pet store and be able to sell them and use them in their inventory and care for them. That's
what store was it?
I'm not sure what store it is right now. Fortunately, one of our firefighters knew a pet store and was friends with the pet store and gave them a call. He said, "Sure, bring them on. We'll take care of them." And that was more important than who or where. We wanted them taken care of properly.
Are there any charges on this?
Yes, we are going to probably charge the proprietor of this establishment under TCA code 39-14-210, which is cruelty to animals. My detective will probably issue warrants for cruelty to animals, which is a misdemeanor. But still, animals are creatures that deserve sustenance and care if they're kept in captivity, just as any other person or other animal would be.
Smokey, of course, reached out to the owners to get their reaction to the allegations. They told us that the situation was nothing more than shocking to them, that they had always done a great job taking care of the animals, and in fact they could prove it. The owners indicated that just 2 weeks ago, Robertson County Animal Control had been by, and after an investigation, they determined that all of the animals were healthy, well-fed, and the facility itself was clean. Smokey, of course, contacted the Robertson County Animal Control. We spoke to the director there, Kevin Clenard, who just happened to be the one who did the investigation. He did confirm that, yes, he did clear the place, that the animals were all healthy, well-fed, and the facility itself was clean. The owners told us that it was about 3 weeks ago that they closed the business due to some health issues, and it was around that same time that complaints started coming in about the well-being and health of the animals in their facility. The owners told us that all of the animals were removed from the facility about 9 days ago. The only reason the frog and the rats were still there was because they had a potential buyer for the frog, and the rats were there as food for the frog, believe it or not. The big frog actually eats the feeder rats. The owners also told us that feeder rats are bred to be feeder rats. They don't necessarily have the longest lifespans. Sometimes they aren't real healthy. If a few of them die, it's not shocking. They're just bred to be food for snakes, or in this case, a big hungry frog. The owners told us that over 90% of the merchandise in the store belonged to them. It was not there on consignment, as police had indicated. There were a few animals there on consignment, but they had been returned to their owners. They told Smokey that they absolutely had not abandoned the facility and all of their merchandise, and in fact had been visiting the facility and checking up on the frog and the rats every couple of days. They were last there on Tuesday, they say, and so somehow in that time frame those rats must have died. I asked them what the disposition was of the other animals that they had owned in the store, and they said that they had them at a facility on their personal property. I asked them if I could come see those animals, and they said yes. I was just 15 minutes away, and I arrived there at the facility, and this is what I found. Though I concede I'm not an animal expert, when they invited me over, they knew that I was going to be bringing my camera and that the world would see these animals, and they were very confident about it. As you can see, the animals do look very healthy and very active. So other than the feeder rats, all we have is that frog. If you compare the frog from 6 months ago when Smokey was there to how the frog is now, if anything, the frog just looks fatter. The owner says that the company that's taking care of the frog for them has a lot of experience with pets, and they should be able to identify that there's nothing wrong with that frog, and it is perfectly healthy. As far as the big African frog's lethargic demeanor, that is just simply indicative of the breed, they said. The only thing that would bring the frog to life was when they tossed in a feeder rat. When we were there 6 months ago, they did that for us. We chose not to put it on camera, but it did bring the frog to life. Other than that, the frog was pretty much just a lump. At the moment, the new Millersville police chief is examining all of the evidence in the case. The owners were told that the disposition of their charges would be revealed to them later in the morning on Friday, so we will definitely let you know what the outcome of that decision is and whether or not any charges of animal cruelty are actually brought against them. The owner of the business, Carla Catlett, and her fiancé, Taylor Broadwick, are just still in shock over the whole thing, they say, and they just want it all to be over with. So we will definitely follow the story for you and let you know how it turns out in the morning. This has been Jim Ball reporting for Smoky Barn News in Millersville.
It may be the most important picture you'll ever have taken. A high-tech image with remarkable clarity that can help diagnose your medical condition and potentially save your life. Advanced medical imaging, all the services you need with convenience and compassion. Northcrest Medical Center, bringing exceptional care to our community.